This is J. Krishnamurti's fourth discussion with students in Amsterdam, 1968.
Or shall we talk over together?
We agreed, sir, that we should talk about the actions resulting from the state of love we discussed last time.
Action?
Yes.
Which are the actions which come when there is a state of love?
What is action, sir? What do we mean by that word? To act. Is it a mere physical movement going from here to there, or moving, doing certain things? Or is action much more complicated than that? What would action mean to you, each one of us?
Reviewing, inside and outside, reviewing myself.
Is action something separate from living? Is action something that has more significance and less significance? Action that's worthwhile and action that is not worthwhile? I wonder what it would mean to each one of us to go into this question of what is action. And is it something entirely different from thought, from love, from existing, living? To act, to do, having done, will do in the future. All these are implied in action.
One could say action mostly is remembrance and conditioning too. So there is a separation between what's going on in the person and his action.
Action is mostly, what was it? I'd like to repeat it, sir.
He said it's remembrance.
Action is the outcome of remembrance, memory, experience, knowledge. Isn't all response, not good or bad, every response, isn't it an action? There are challenges all the time impinging on the mind. And we respond to it, consciously or unconsciously. And isn't that action? And if there was no challenge at all, would you have action? Please follow this up a little bit. I challenge you by asking, what is action? That's a challenge, a question. And one begins to respond to that challenge. And the response, is it action? And isn't it an action really? And if there was no challenge, would we go to sleep? I don't know if you're following. So we depend on various forms of subtle and definite challenges to keep us awake, which is responding fully, adequately, or not completely, and so on. So this action between challenge and response is what keeps us alive, awake rather. Right? If somebody who is more learned, more wise and so on, if he didn't challenge us and therefore respond, would our intellect, our heart or our affection, would that deteriorate? All these questions are implied in action, aren't they? So let's begin, let's find out. When we act, that is, when there is a response to a challenge, is that response free, in the sense unconditioned? Or all our responses are conditioned? Take, for instance, any culture, any civilization dies, like the Roman, Greek, the Egyptians and so on. Not that I'm a historian, I'm just looking at it. Dies because it doesn't respond to the challenge properly. And it may be with all of us, that unless we respond adequately to a challenge, which is the response is the action, right? Then there is conflict. Then there is pain. And can man live, in a sense, awake, intelligent, alive, without challenge? We think by study, college, university, and getting a job, struggling, all that is part of action, because that's life. If we didn't do that, we'd become dull, we'd become useless. I'm not saying we shouldn't go to universities. So, what is the relationship between action that is free and responds fully to a challenge, and what is the relationship between an action that is always limited and therefore always bringing about conflict, misery, and all the rest of it? That's one part of the question. The other is, life is relationship. And therefore, relationship is action. Of course. And what is the relationship between human beings? That's also involved in action. And is action merely physical action, a psychological action? And is there action at all if the mind is completely quiet? So that one has to go into this question, if we may, little more deeply, if I may use that word. So, first question is, first part of this inquiry is, does a human being, you and I, do we respond to challenge? We do respond, but adequately. Or always it is not complete, full, up to the newness of the challenge. I don't know if you're following this. Because all challenges must be new, otherwise it's not a challenge. And if my response is old, then that action is frustrating, is destructive. Right? Take, for example, the challenge at the present time at the political level is that man must unify. All men, all humanity. Not separate government, separate legislation, separate vested interests, separate prosperity. Man has so far advanced that unless he cooperates, unifies, he will destroy himself. That is the challenge. Whether anybody talks about it or not, that is a fact. Now, how do I or you respond to that challenge? Because that challenge is new, isn't it? And do I respond to it with a new elan, with a new jump? Or do I respond as a Dutchman or as a Frenchman or as an Indian and so on, so on, so on? And if I don't respond newly, in the new sense of the freshness, we shall be destroyed. Right? That's one of the challenges. Then the other challenge is, at the present time, what is the relationship between man, human being, and the computer? Right? The computer that thinks, acts, functions, though it's mechanically, it's based on the principles of association like the brain, much quicker, more accurate, more efficient than any human being. Which is so. We've talked to any computer experts. So, what is the relationship between a human being and the machine? Right? Then the other challenge is how to bring about social order. There's so much injustice, so much social disorder, and how do we respond? That's one point. Look at all this. Then there is the whole decay of religion. Nobody now goes to churches, except the old ladies. I mean, it means nothing. Old ladies and old men, I'm not saying. So, that's gone. And the question then arises, is there a reality? Is there God? Is there merely, or is it merely propaganda of 2,000 years or 10,000 years? So, seeing all this, how do we respond? And the response is the action. I don't know. Right? Is the response in my relationship to my wife or my husband, or to my boyfriend or girlfriend? Because relationship also means action. Right? So, there are all these separative challenges. Right? Or is there only one challenge? Divided into these several categories. Right? Is there? This is really enormously, not only interesting, a vital question.
I think all those challenges can be put into one.
Yes, but it can be put into one. But don't we respond to it fragmentarily? My relationship with my wife is one challenge. My particular relationship to society is another. And my search for God or whatever that is another. And so on. Or is there only one challenge which I am translating into these different categories? Just a minute, sir. Just a minute. Let me finish. And then you can jump on me afterwards. Let's go into it. Huh? You follow, sir? There is only one challenge. You mind if I take my coat off? And I, living in fragments, thinking in fragments, respond to that challenge, which is total, in classifications. I don't know, right? So I have to find that out. Right, sir? That is, my mind is accustomed to think politically, economically, separately. As a family, as separate society, I am apart from this and that. So I respond to a challenge, which must be total challenge, in fragments, translating them as political action, as a religious action, as a social action, as a family action, and so on. And so all my actions are broken up. My action in the office is entirely different from the action at my home. There I am competitive, brutal, I want to succeed, I want to reach bigger position and so on. And at home I am fairly mild, tamed, domesticated. So there is a contradiction. So one has to find out whether there is only one challenge, only one, which I am interpreting it into different, breaking it up into different fragments. And if there is only one, what is that? I don't know if you're... It's really quite interesting, this.
De heer Ritman en de heer Crea willen hier met spoed met Wilhelmina vastbegrepen. Ritman en Crea.
Take him to jail, sir?
Yes. Hospital.
What do you say, sirs? Is there only one challenge? Always one, and always new, otherwise it's not a challenge, which I am interpreting or breaking it up into different facets, categories. And therefore, I'm contradicting. Living differently, doing things in office differently from home, and so on. If that is so, then there is only one challenge. And what is that?
No challenge.
What's that?
No challenge at all.
To have no challenge at all means one has to, that's a tremendous thing. Can I keep awake at the highest pitch of intelligence and sensitivity without any challenge? You say it's not possible. Huh? I'll show it to you. I'll show you it is possible. I'll go into it.
Has it any use to compare this challenge?
Huh?
Has it any use to compare this challenge?
Used to?
To compare one challenge to another.
Ah, no. Is it any use to compare one challenge with another challenge?
No, it's impossible. There are such a lot of different kinds of challenges that has it any use to compare them.
No, sir.
Every challenge has its own worth.
Yes, that's right. No, that's what we are asking, sir. That's what we are asking. Without comparing, without intellectually inquiring, is there one challenge, only one in life, and we are translating it according to our narrow little fragmentary life. Now, sir, how would you find out? How will you find out for yourself whether there is one challenge or many challenges? And if it is one challenge, what it is? Or is life a series of variety of challenges to which we are responding variously? How do we find this out? Turn to the expert historian, Toynbee. Or how will you find out? Do work at it. So how will you find out? Two things.
To look at the present. By looking in the present.
How will you look, sir? I don't know. I'm asking you. How will you find out? I really want to find out now. This is really a very good question.
It's not possible to find it out.
Now wait a minute. When you say it is not possible to find out, you have already blocked yourself. Right? So don't let's block ourselves. Or to say it is possible, there is only one, is also a blockage. Right? Now you're going to find out in a minute.
If you answer a challenge completely, you can only answer it in
Be one.
one way. There's no variety of ways.
So what is that one challenge?
You answer it completely.
Huh?
If you answer it completely, There is but one way to answer.
Ah, no,
She's
no.
misunderstood.
She has misunderstood.
She
Yes.
thinks you may be saying there are many ways to answer
I'm not saying there are many ways to answer the question,
the challenge.
the challenge. Now, all right, let's put it. There is only one challenge. There are not varieties of challenges.
There is difficulty that always time is involved.
But,
and always a part of time.
yes, I don't want to enter into that question of time for the moment. We'll come to it, perhaps. Here is something. Please do get at this. You will see it immediately. I've got it. It's like a jigsaw puzzle.
Perhaps it's the wish of to life, and if the wish isn't there anymore, he will commit suicide. And so I think it's the wish to life and to be a human being and to yes, everything. If you are hungry, there's things you have to eat. So if that isn't there anymore, you can go on. There isn't any challenge to go on. And so
I'm afraid we haven't got it. Would somebody who has heard it tell us?
I think the lady actually gave the answer because I heard the word life, and she said, try to explicate that life
If
is the
you're
challenge.
hungry, you only want to eat. That's your only wish, and there's no other challenge to it. That's what you mean.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
No other challenge to bother about.
Perhaps it's possible to say when you try to be yourself with that situation, and being yourself and going into any interaction, the action almost will be the same in the future. Perhaps he is going to improve himself, but it's going in a certain way. But basic on the theme that you have to be yourself in every circumstance. I can't say it in English. Perhaps you can.
Sir, I understand, sir. But that's, sir, I think we are misunderstanding each other, if you don't mind. Look, let me put it. We think, don't we, that there are different challenges. In the office is different. In the house it is different. In the family it's different. Games. They're all different categories of challenges. Now, I say there isn't different categories. There is only one challenge at all times.
it depends on
Huh?
it depends on
Depends upon the moment.
Ah, no. If the challenge is only one challenge, there is no moment. It's always there. You are not meeting we're not. Are we meeting each other?
It's the challenge of the mystery of human beings.
Look, please, do look at it. India is starving. Great, immense poverty there. We have been brought up in that. Poverty, hunger, we know it. Most of us know it. And there is enormous prosperity in the West. Right? America, in Holland, in Germany, and so on. Enormous prosperity. There are these two challenges. A nation, a group of people who are greatly prosperous, and the others are not. And so they are violent, you follow? They're angry. And the challenge is, shall this continue? Right? Which means war, hatred, antagonism, which is brewing. How will you answer? Is that separate challenge from your family, from the office, Huh? Or is there only one challenge always at all times? Have you found out for yourself what the challenge is? Not whether you've understood the question.
Do you mean perhaps that one unique challenge is that the consciously, your mind, only your ego?
No, sir, challenge. You know what challenge is? Asking a question. What is civilization? What is thought? What is love? What is God? What are you? That's a challenge. Why are you hungry? I mean, you follow, sir, those are all demands which contain a challenge. I don't know, is there a word for challenge in...
Uitdaging.
I don't know.
Perhaps the challenge is love, in many ways.
I know.
Well, the only challenge then must be real action.
We're going to find out. First, sir, you must ask this question. You're not answering, you're not asking that question, you're just giving an answer.
You are itself. Right? You are part of life, so everything which happens in life comes to you.
Yes, sir?
For you are acting in it, so you are part of the totality also.
Yes. But you're not answering my question, my challenge. I say, is there only one challenge in life?
Yes, sir, I think.
Huh?
Because every time if you respond, it becomes hopeless. Your responding is hopeless.
Yes, sir.
I think that's the reason.
As you see, you're not meeting my question. Sorry.
I think the challenge can be treated as one, and it can be treated as different. So it depends on us whether challenges are always the same.
I understand, sir. I will adjustment, sir. I say there is only one challenge, which would translate differently, according to our conditioning. The challenge is, be free. That's the only challenge, always.
So we can't answer you in words.
Huh?
So we can't answer you in words.
No, madam. No, you're... No, we can answer this in words. We'll just, please follow this up a little. Because it's only in freedom we can cooperate, right? It's only in freedom that can be love, which is freedom from jealousy, anger, hate.
I think cooperate means not to have freedom.
What's that?
I think to cooperate you can't have freedom, because cooperate means you have to lose something of yourself to become a bigger community or something like that. But you are losing something of yourself.
No, sir. What to cooperate means to work together.
No, yeah, you work together, but you have to lose something for yourself, because otherwise you can't cooperate. You are different, everybody is different in a way. And to cooperate, you have to lose something from you.
You have to lose. You have to lose something. Of course. You have to lose yourself completely. No, sir, you're not meeting my point. Sir, do please. How can I cooperate? how can I cooperate if I'm not free? Cooperation is generally meant round an idea, right? Round an ideology. You and I agree that is a good idea, and we'll cooperate together in order to carry out that idea, right? Politically, religiously, socially, family, and so on. That's what we call cooperation. Agreement about something, and then working together to carry that out. Surely? No? So, can there be cooperation around an idea? Around an ideology? Around a utopia? Obviously not. I don't know, you're not following all this. Because you can see this. In Russia, they have started to cooperate around an idea, and everybody is fighting it. Right? This is happening all the time. So we say there is only one challenge, which is that man must be free. Right? If he is not free, he cannot do a thing. He can make mischief. He can bring wars. But he cannot live in harmony with his neighbor. So there is only one challenge. Freedom.
I think to be free is also an idea. He thinks to be free is also an idea.
Ah, wait a minute. Sir, look. Is it an idea when you are hungry? Is it an idea for a prisoner held within the four walls when he says, I must be free? So, it is an idea, freedom, only when we do not know that we are prisoners. What's up?
I'm laughing.
You're laughing. Good. And we don't know we are prisoners.
Can you compare it, hunger, starvation, hunger and freedom? I think freedom is an idea, and hunger also. When you eat, hunger is over. But about some hours, again hungry. The people must eat whole his life. Also, I think freedom is an idea. It isn't possible to lose yourself completely in freedom.
So,
when you lose yourself, there is nothing. Yourself is away. So you will die.
So is it possible for us to become free when we are bound to the earth?
So what does freedom mean? Before we say all these things, we must at least more or less define what that word means before we argue or discuss or disagree. What does it mean to be free?
Unconditioned.
Free, sir. What does it mean, free? Free to talk, right? If you are in a communist country where freedom is not allowed, which is a bourgeois thing, and you are not allowed to express yourself, then you want to express yourself, right? You want to say something. So freedom is to talk, to say what you want, right? Freedom means to choose any job you want, right? Freedom means also to live a life without fear. No? Freedom means to live without war, which means live in security. Right? Freedom also means to live without conflict, without battle, without anger, without brutality, without violence. All that's implied in that word, isn't it?
Do you believe in living without conflict? Is it possible?
Do I believe a life without conflict? Is it possible? I don't believe it. Avitsa! I said I don't believe it. But there is a life without conflict. And that's a belief. When you say I hope so, that's a belief. I don't know if you follow this.
I think we must try. Every time we must try. But it isn't possible to reach the point completely.
We must try, but it's not,
No.
not possible.
No, you see. So you asked a question, which is it a belief to live without conflict? Is it a belief? When do you believe?
When I'm trying
Huh?
to get a target.
No, when do you believe? When you don't know. Right? When you don't know something or other, then you have first to believe. Hope. Have faith in. But when you live a life without conflict, you don't want to believe. Either you can say to me then, I don't believe it's possible. You're cuckoo, you're mad. Or you can say, as I don't know it, let's find out. So it's not a matter of belief at all. Like the Catholics, the religious people throughout the world, the so-called religious people, have beliefs. And that's what has destroyed them. No? So, is it possible to be free? And challenge is, you must be free. Otherwise you are like the machine. Follow it up, right? Unless you are free, you are a second-hand computer. The computer is not free, right? It acts mechanically. It acts according to the information it has been given. And that's what we are. We act according to the information, knowledge, experience, memory I have. So if I'm not free, I'm a bad example of a marvelous computer.
But are we sure that a computer isn't free?
What do you mean, sir? Of course it's not free. Good Lord, switch off the electric current, it's bust, finished.
For instance, in roulette. It is roulette when you have to play games, play guitars. question of freedom, or you are not sure what you get, what chance you have.
Sir, a computer has played with a first-class chess player. First-class chess player. After he has played him, perhaps the first 3 or 4 times the chess player has beaten the machine. But after the 6th, the machine can beat anybody. These are facts. These are not my opinions. So, sir, please come, let's come. If there is no freedom for a human being, then he is a bad computer. And that is the challenge which is facing every man at all times in life, in the ancient times or now. They had no computers then, but they had the authority of the priest. Right? The authority of the man who said, I know, you don't know. So the computer has tremendous authority. I don't know if you're following all this.
But I think we cannot prove it that the computer or the computer, it isn't possible to give a computer a kind of conscience, a kind of freedom. We are not sure. We are also not sure how get with a physical process. For modern physics, men don't know how it works exactly.
Sir, this is not so, sir. It has been put together by man, and man knows how it works. And also they have found out that sometimes goes mad. And they give it an electric shock, and then it comes out all right. You really, sir, these are all facts.
How do you think we can become free?
First of all, you go back and forth. That's what let's stick to one thing, sir, which is, the challenge now is, and it's always been throughout history, that man must be free. Otherwise he's a slave to tradition, and now he's becoming a slave to the machinery. Right? The Protestants broke away from the Catholics, the Huguenots, but they were not free. They had their own slavery. So, the next question is it possible to be free?
Is it possible for you to explain what you mean by the word free?
I have told you, sir. Freedom means freedom from the mechanical habits that the brain has developed. Right? You don't see that. No, sir, it is not an illusion of the brain. Here you are, I'm challenging you. You can't call it an illusion. Those people who have no food, they are challenging the world. You can't tell them that's just an illusion. So we are saying there is only one challenge in life, and that challenge is that man must be free. You must be free. Which means you have then to ask, what is freedom? Right?
So, ask anything like not to block your own thinkings and give the opportunity to move every way in thinking, not to say, I can't make it, or not to say, I can make it, but anything like, I want to try to do. I want to give me the direction between yes and no. But I want not to say the boundaries.
Yes, I understand, sir. So what does freedom mean? Can you ever know you're free? Yes, you do. And when you know you're free, is that freedom? Have you noticed when you are say, I am happy, that happiness has gone. Huh? Wait. Don't say you don't agree so quickly, madam. Just wait a minute. All right. When you are aware that you are angry, anger at the moment, when you are aware of it, is there anger? Huh? When you are, do you know when you are completely healthy? And you only know health because you are ill? So, all that we can know is what is bondage. Right? Through negation, you come to the positive. Huh? Is this getting a little complex? I deny fear. I don't know what freedom is, but I am not going to be afraid. Right? In freeing in the freedom of fear, the other freedom is. I don't know if you see. Through negation, the positive is. But if I seek the positive, it will be merely a negation of what is. This gets. Have you got it? No. Is freedom a comparative state? If it is, it's not free. No, you don't. Look, sir. Fear is the outcome of losing, one of the outcomes of losing property rights and sexual rights. Right? Look at the animals. To them these two matter immensely. Property right and sexual right. They will undergo sexual rights, let it go, but they'll stick to property rights. Just like human beings. And with us, we demand and we insist to live within that enclosed area of rights. I don't know if you're following all this. I'm afraid not. Look, sir, let me put it on another way. We are afraid of almost everything. Right? Afraid of losing a job, afraid of death, afraid of public opinion, afraid of not becoming a success. And so on, so on, so on.
Sir, if I may ask, you say we are afraid. Wasn't he first asked the question, why every human being is afraid?
I'm explaining that, sir.
Then I'm very sorry to that.
So why am I afraid of public opinion, what somebody else thinks? I'm taking that as an example. Why? No? No answer? I'm afraid because public opinion may destroy my life, may not give me a job, right? Public opinion may outcast me out of society. So thought thinks about public opinion and what it might do, and therefore it's frightened. Right? So thought brings fear into being. So I know what fear is. And I know how fear arises, and the various forms of fear. Fear of death. I will die one day, and I'm afraid of that. That is thought through time, says some future day I will die, but in the meantime I'll hold on. So thought is responsible for fear. Under all circumstances. I have been very healthy, and I'm frightened I may become ill, which is thought. Says, I know what health is, tomorrow I may fall ill, and I'm frightened of it. I know I'm frightened that I may lose my wife. So I make the family very strong. So thought makes for fear, right? Now, freedom is the negation of fear, right? I don't know what freedom is. How can a slave know what freedom is until he is free? Right? So, can I be free of fear? That is, can there be an end to thought. Right? Thought creates fear. That's obvious, isn't it? No? So thought creates fear. And to be free of fear completely, can there be the ending of thought? Right?
But if you don't think,
Ah.
there's no more intelligence.
Ah.
How can you live it?
There's tremendous intelligence. It's only when there is thought. Now, what do we mean by intelligence? Intelligence means, doesn't it, to respond to a challenge immediately, intelligently, completely. Right? Can thought respond to it? If thought responds, please follow it. The challenge is new, and thought is old. Right? So there is no intelligence when thought responds to a challenge. So to be free from fear, I have to ask, can there be an end to thought? So I have to find out what thought is. Right? The computer thinks. No? Do follow this up, sir, this very important thing in our life. We are given such importance to thinking.
Leave it off. Leave it off. Take it off and leave it off.
And we are challenging the whole structure of thought. And that's tremendous revolution. To challenge something which man has accepted as the most sacred thing, which is to think. Right? And we see thought has bred fear. Even when there is a new invention to be made, thought must be silent. I'm afraid there is no air in here, that's why. Doesn't matter, sir. Doesn't matter, sir. Yes, sir. So that is the question. Whether thought, which has become so important in life, and when you see thought makes for fear, makes for darkness, one asks, can thought end? Right? If you say it can't, then it's finished. That's it, then you're blocking yourself. Or if you say yes it can, that becomes merely a theory. Right? So how will you find? So you have to find out for yourself. So what is thought? Like the computer, it thinks. Because it has memory, association, the experience of playing at chess with an expert. So it has knowledge, experience, memory, which is what we have. And thought is the response of that memory, right? If you had no memory, you wouldn't respond at all. You would be in a state of amnesia. So, thought is the response of memory, which is old. Memory can never be new. It's a second later. So, can the mind, the brain cells themselves, which is the result of millions of years and used to thinking, can that brain be quiet? Otherwise we are not free.
So, must the brain make the brain quiet?
Must the brain make the brain quiet? So, do you know what noise is? When that telephone rang, it was a noise. So, the mind is always chattering. Right? Always occupied with something or other. With itself, with its progress, with its self-improvement, with its search, with its happiness, with its ambitions and so on. It's occupied, chattering all the time. Right? Now, you know it is chattering. And if you say, I will stop it, that's another form of chatter. Right? So, you have to find a way of stopping it without more chatter. Right? So, how will you do that?
Tolerance.
Huh?
Tolerance.
No tolerance. That's one of the intellectual tricks. I am tolerant of you.
Let it go then.
No, sir, do watch it, sir. My question is this. Can the chattering stop without further chatter by another chatter imposing upon it?
Sir, I think you can get your mind quiet, not at all, but when you change it,
so that it's getting less and less quiet?
I don't.
He thinks you can become quiet gradually, but not suddenly.
Can you make the mind quiet through time gradually? When you make the mind quiet gradually, the noise becomes thicker, fatter. Either you have to end it immediately or not at all. It's like having cancer. Say, well, I'll get rid of cancer gradually. It cannot end. You have to operate and take it out. So, is it possible to end the whole machinery of thought immediately?
I think so. Like, not to door niets anders af te hangen, dus ik kan dat vertalen. Not to depend on anything.
What?
By not
to depend on anything.
Not to depend.
On anything.
That's an idea there, isn't it? Saying you must not depend on anything. But I am dependent. Huh?
Trying to be free of influence.
So no, you're taking, sir, please. I took one example. And there's the only thought is responsible for fear, right? Thought is responsible for this misery of division as the Dutchman, Englishman, German, Indian, and all the rest of it, obviously. And that's causing tremendous mischief in the world. And to put an end to that mischief, can the mind become completely quiet? Huh? What?
Then one is asleep or dead.
Then one is asleep or dead. You see, now wait a minute. When you make a statement like that, it's finished. You don't know really, do you? Because you don't know whether you have ever stopped thinking. Now, sir, look, I'll show you something. Look at a flower. Take a very simple example. Look at a flower. Can you look at it without thinking? Thinking being memory. Huh?
You can look feeling.
I'm using the word look. Do it, sir. You don't do it. Look at a flower. There's the one in the room. Doesn't matter. Look at a color. Look at the color of some shirt or coat. Can you look at it without naming the color? Wait, sir. Naming the color, saying you don't like it or like it. Just to look at it without the interference of thought. Try it. And you will see how extraordinarily difficult it is. Because thought is always interfering. When you know it is interfering, then you can do something or not do. Yes, sir.
how difficult it is to silence thought. Don't I become afraid that I may fail?
Oh yes, obviously. Which is again the operation of thought.
So, must there not first be awareness in which there is no division between the observer and the observed?
So, I wish you would do it. Do, that is to look at a flower, look at any color, and see if you can look at it without any interference of thought. To look at yourself, your vanity, your fear, your judgments, your evaluations, to look at yourself without any judgment. So, when you want to understand something, don't you listen? Then thought is silent, isn't it? When you are listening very keenly. Right?
I don't think so, because you have your criticism. If you can accept something.
No. You listen. First you listen, then you may criticize. First you listen. When you listen very attentively, there is no thinking. Right? Afterwards it may come. So you know there is a state in which is to listen without thought. Right? Now continue, live like that. To always listen. Then your mind becomes extraordinarily alert. Right? Highly sharp and sensitive. But if it is all the time chattering, criticizing, judging, it's a very dull mind. And to be free from that. So that is the only challenge, to be free from the old. The old being thought, the old being tradition, the establishment, and whatever you like to call it. And to be free, one has to actually listen. Right, so that's enough, isn't it?